containing all Barcelona players of Gavi, Sergio Busquets and Pedri, and a front three of Ferran Torres, Marco Asensio and Dani Olmo. As I mentioned, it's a massive game. Now there's been that shock result. Spain will want to put themselves in contention to just pull away from Germany with a win, but I'm sure the magic of the World Cup might throw up something else. Well, in today's third World Cup game in the group stages, it is a Group E game between Spain and Costa Rica, a massive game following Germany's 2-1 shock loss to Japan earlier on today. I expect to see a defensive formation from Costa Rica with a back five. It looks like it's Keylor Navas, the PSG goalkeeper, in net. And then a back five of Brian Oviedo, Francisco Calvo, Oscar Duarte, Keisha Fuller and Carlos Martinez. A midfield two of Yeltsin Tejeda and Celso Borges, and three in front of Juison Benet, Anthony Contreras and Joel Campbell. It's a star-studded outfit for the Spanish, though, with Unai Simon starting in net, a back four of Cesar Azpilicueta, Rodri, Aymeric Laporte and Jordi Alba, a three in midfield containing all Barcelona players of Gavi, Sergio Busquets and Pedri, and a front three of Ferran Torres, Marco Asensio and Dani Olmo. As I mentioned, it's a massive game. Now there's been that shock result. Spain will want to put themselves in contention to just pull away from Germany with a win, but I'm sure the magic of the World Cup might throw up something else. Well, in today's third World Cup game in the group stages, it is a Group E game between Spain and Costa Rica, a massive game following Germany's 2-1 shock loss to Japan earlier on today. I expect to see a defensive formation from Costa Rica with a back five. It looks like it's Keylor Navas, the PSG goalkeeper, in net. And then a back five of Brian Oviedo, Francisco Calvo, Oscar Duarte, Keisha Fuller and Carlos Martinez. A midfield two of Yeltsin Tejeda and Celso Borges, and three in front of Juison Benet, Anthony Contreras and Joel Campbell. It's a star-studded outfit for the Spanish, though, with Unai Simon starting in net, a back four of Cesar Azpilicueta, Rodri, Aymeric Laporte and Jordi Alba, a three in midfield containing all Barcelona players of Gavi, Sergio Busquets and Pedri, and a front three of Ferran Torres, Marco Asensio and Dani Olmo. As I mentioned, it's a massive game. Now there's been that shock result. Spain will want to put themselves in contention to just pull away from Germany with a win, but I'm sure the magic of the World Cup might throw up something else. Well, we'll leave that there as we welcome you along to this independent off-tube studio commentary of the World Cup Group E group stage match between Spain and Costa Rica. It's two sides that have very different histories in international tournaments, but certainly two passionate sides if the national anthems are anything to go off as we underway in this game. My name's Joshua. I'm joined by Bobby Jackson. We'll get a word with Bobby in a second. There's going to be a tie between two sides that now, after that initial game and seeing what's happened between Germany and Japan, feel there's an opportunity here.
Yeah, definitely. I think coming into the competition, you looked at the group after the draw and you felt Spain, Germany, which one of those two is going to finish top? He's going to have to set off for second, but as we've seen already in this competition, you can't take anything for granted. Starting yesterday, Argentina losing against Saudi Arabia. Not quite the same sort of magnitude in terms of shock with Japan beating Germany earlier, but still an upset and gives everyone else hope in the group now. Costa Rica would have to perform remarkably well to upset Spain here, a side that blended well with youth and experience and just hold the ball really well. I think that's the difficulty with Spain. Even if they're having an off day, they tend to still control the game. Costa Rica, who are going to be looking to play on the counter, are going to have their chances few and far between.
Certainly are, and it's Spain that are trying to get going here with Ferran Torres on the right-hand side. He's just trying to sneak his way in, but the experienced Brian Oviedo gets his foot in, knocks it out for the first corner of the game, and it will be a Spain corner. It's such an impressive midfield for Barcelona. Well, that's a Freudian slip, because it's such an impressive midfield for Spain, that Barcelona midfield of Busquets, Gavi and Pedri. They're going to be able to hold on to the ball, like you just said, Bobby. It's all about being able to look after that ball, make sure they don't make any silly mistakes. Corner to be taken here by Olmo. Outswinging corner. It's headed away by Costa Rica towards the halfway line, but Jordi Alba was there to meet it. He plays it back to Unai Simon, who will just start things off. We were just talking before the game about how the substitute goalkeepers are both Premier League goalkeepers. Robert Sanchez and David Raya on the bench for Spain. And De Gea not making it into that Spanish 26-man squad. I'm sure he won't have been too happy about that, but definitely a wealth of quality within the Spanish side. A few familiar names within that Costa Rica side. In fact, I'll run you through the lineups when we get a second, and you can see if you recognise any of them yourselves. As they just managed to get a foot in now, Costa Rica, to stunt an attempted attack from Spain. A clearance blocked from that of Brian Oviedo, but it's fallen back towards Francisco Calvo, and he's just going to clear down the line. A lot of passion trying to get to that ball there as Contreras just came in to try and win it. He's battling with Busquets again for a header, but it's fallen down towards Pedri. Does really well to just hover his foot over it, send Joel Campbell the wrong way. Gives it to Alba. Alba on the left-hand side now, plays it out to Ferran Torres. He seems to be swapping wings at times with Olmo. They've both had a bit of a stint on each side, even in these opening exchanges. Ball comes across now from Spain as they're just trying to work their way into the Costa Rica box, and their free kick given just inside, about halfway inside Costa Rica's own half. Free kick. Joel Campbell was taken down by Manchester City's Aymeric Laporte. This gives me an opportunity to run you through those lineups. So for Costa Rica, it's Keylor Navas in net. The Paris Saint-Germain goalkeeper is Brian Oviedo, Francisco Calvo, Oscar Duarte, Keisha Fuller, and Carlos Martinez as a back five. As I just break off, the ball's gone over the top. It's just searching. Costa Rica trying to break forward in Keisha Fuller, but it went all the way through to Unai Simon. And then the midfield, you've got Yeltsin, Teseda, and Celso Borges, and then the front three of Jennison, Bennett, Anthony Contreras, and Joel Campbell. And then that star-studded Spanish lineup: Unai Simon in net, Cesar Azpilicueta, Rodri, Laporte, and Alba as the back four, Gavi, Busquets, and Pedri in midfield, and Ferran Torres, Marco Asensio, and Dani Olmo up top for the Spaniards. Now the ball is on the left-hand side with Ferran Torres just squaring up against his man, trying to beat him, but he can't get round Carlos Martinez, who holds his ground. Pedri with a lovely ball over the top, searching for Dani Olmo, and it was almost 1-0. game goes on, if it does continue at 0-0. But it's Pedri on the ball again, manages to find a pass into Asensio, and he just drags it wide. Golden opportunity, really, but what he tried to do was almost curl it in towards the near post rather than going for the far. Don't know whether maybe he's actually mishit it. The pass to find him from Pedri was great. In fact, no, he has mishit it. But even then, he's come very close.
Yeah, just about wide of the goal. Keylor Navas was quickly down and maybe would have had it covered. But again, it's far too easy for Spain, and we could see there when they did become a little bit more narrow in the middle, Olmo was coming in from the left, and two Costa Rican defenders, it was Keisha Fuller and Oscar Duarte, both went towards Olmo. That opened up a little pocket of space then for Asenio to drop into. He only had Francisco Calvo alongside him and was able to get to the ball first. So we've already spoken about the way that Spain's wide men will switch flanks, and there might be a fair bit of fluidity in the forward line. It's crucial when that happens that Costa Rica are having a conversation between each other. The defensive line making sure they pass the player on, everyone knows and is aware of where the danger is around them. Otherwise, you're going to get in that situation where two players go to one man. That opens up the gaps for others.
That's for the Pequeno on the right-hand side now for Spain, as they just try again to penetrate that defensive structure in their way. Ferran Torres just trying to play a pass back towards Azpilicueta, but it's cut out and it'll go out for a Spain throw. Azpilicueta over to the far side to take it. And then running off him. Just in all red today, Spain. It's an all red Spanish side versus an all white Costa Rican kit. Very pleasing for the commentators' eyes. I'm Rick Laporte, the former France footballer. Now with Jordi Alba, as he just finds Busquets in the middle, and they just pass that ball around so calmly, Spain, when they do have it. And Busquets is such an experienced head. He really works well in that midfield three alongside Gavi and Pedri. They're both so young and inexperienced, but so talented. To have him alongside them really shores them up as a midfield three and allows there to be experience as he intercepts the ball once again. Spain have it coming forward. Olmo just trying to play one over the top. It's headed away well, and Costa Rica are just doing all they can to get this ball out. Borges gets ahead on it, but it's won back once more by Spain. And now it's on the right-hand side with Azpilicueta across to Busquets. Central once more with Pepe. They just want to get him on the ball at the moment. He's always looking up, always looking for a pass over the top or someone to feet who can advance the play. Lovely quick passing. Busquets out wide left to Jordi Alba. There's an option in the middle, and that option's been found in Olmo. Olmo drops it off towards Gavi. He tries to chip one over the top. Olmo's taking it down in the area, and it's a fantastic goal. It's beautiful. Spain are 1-0 up. Keylor Navas was caught in no man's land, and he's been a problem for this first 10 minutes. Olmo getting in behind. A wonderfully worked goal. Spain 1, Costa Rica 0.
Far too easy, isn't it? It's been on the wall, the writing, for some time. We're only 11 minutes in, but there's been an inevitability about this opening goal coming for Spain, pressing on right from the first whistle. And it's just really cute play in and around the box. Costa Rica have got absolutely no answer defensively to anything Spain have had to offer. This time, Olmo, that lovely little touch when I think the ball actually was deflected through to him from the pass from Gavi on the edge of the box. He tried to dink it on. It kind of scoops up, but Olmo gets his body in the way, spins onto the ball, and then manages to show a calmness and assuredness in the box to find a way past the keeper. Good strength as well to hold off to Arce, who is struggling and finding it difficult not to foul there, really, but the finish cute over Keylor Navas, and a very well-deserved lead here for Spain.
A special piece of individual brilliance from Olmo at the end of a terrific passage of quick passing play by Spain, and really do look a threat towards anybody who wants to try and win this World Cup. They'll feel that they're in a strong position to go at this. Almost a Spain team that's riddled with quality and talent. You said earlier a mix of youth and experience, but on top of that, almost no real pressure. There's no real expectation for them to have to go out and win this tournament, but at the same time there's a knowledge that they could do it if they perform to their best. And the first 12 and a half minutes we've seen of them in this tournament so far, albeit only against Costa Rica, you wouldn't bet against them.
You wouldn't, and they're the third youngest squad of the competition. They've still got Alba and Busquets in there, players with vast amount of experience, but it is a transitional squad, isn't it, for Spain at the moment? Players that are playing at a high level, so they're experienced domestically, but in these big international competitions, they're still trying to find their feet. And so far in this game, we've seen them firmly plant those feet on the ground and just settle in. They've not shown any fear, and why should they? They're playing at the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, teams like that where expectation levels are high week in, week out. So it should be no different. And it's the best game, I think, in the group for them to kick off with against a Germany or even a Japan who beat Germany earlier. Maybe they do come up against a bit more resistance, but this is a great chance to get an early 3 points on the board, get into your rhythm for the tournament and try and build momentum from there.
Certainly a team full of players that are used to that sort of pressure. As you say, the majority of them from Barcelona and Real Madrid. That two centre-backs of Rodri and Aymeric Laporte have obviously got to play to the top level every week to stay competing for the Premier League at Manchester City and really lend itself to them in the latter stages of the tournament if they get there. It has only been 14 minutes played and we've seen a few shocks already so far in this tournament. Noticeably, Saudi Arabia managing to from one down to win 2-1 against Argentina, and just an hour or so ago, Japan coming from one down to beat Germany. Also in this Group E game, it's a superb match to watch and a superb performance. But what's superb at the moment is the way Spain are moving the ball. As Gavi is brought down about 35 yards out from goal, it's going to be a free kick to Spain on the right-hand side, a chance for them to loft one into the area. It was Francisco Calvo that just left one on. It was quite cynical, really. I'm surprised the referee's not got his card out.
Yeah, I think maybe with it being so early on in the match, he's maybe just thinking it's worth while giving a warning. Mohamed Abdullah and won't be allowing too many more of those to go. But that's the first time, and it's better, at least from Costa Rica, that they're getting close enough to at least make a foul. We haven't seen that in the opening 15 minutes, really. Spain have just coasted through the match, almost like a pre-season friendly. I think it was an opening World Cup group game for either of these two sides. It's been so one-sided.
Certainly wouldn't. It's going to be Dani Olmo to take the free kick this time. At first glance, he's just back-heeled it, actually, to Pedri, who then tried to just knit one through to him and has been intercepted. And here is where Costa Rica can be dangerous. Going down that left-hand side, it's Jewison Burnett, but he's just been shoved off the ball by Marco Asensio. Free kick to Costa Rica now inside the Spain half. They can play defensively and break on the counter-attack. That's the way Costa Rica want to play. It's the way they had that superb tournament in 2014 when they topped the group. They managed to get through to the quarterfinals where they only went out to a penalty shootout against the Dutch with, well, they managed 0-0 and it went through to penalty shootouts. They were so close to a semi-final. In fact, I think about 7 of the players that played in that game are still playing in this team that started today. So still a side with experience of going far. It's going to be a long free kick taken by Joel Campbell off his left boot in towards the area. There's not many Costa Rican shirts to greet it. It's headed away, but an offside call given anyway from the free kick. So it will be a ball to Spain. Jordi Alba was down on the floor. I'm not sure quite who was offside. I'm just getting a second glance at it. I think it was narrow, but maybe just about offside in the end from Costa Rica. Free kick to Spain just outside their own area. It's going to be taken short by Aymeric Laporte. Across to Rodri. Back to his Manchester City counterpart. Jordi Alba, an opportunity to bring it forward. It's so calm by Spain when they have the ball, isn't it? There's no real need to rush. They can turn on the intensity when they need it, but if they don't feel like they have to find that next gear, they're so comfortable just playing the ball around, keeping hold of possession.
Yeah, exactly, and that goes back to the fact that they've played this style of play, this philosophy for so long now. It was this approach that saw them win their first and only ever World Cup under Vicente Del Bosque, and kind of continued that under a succession of managers. 2018 World Cup, one to forget, because they had all the issues managerially ahead of the competition, and everything just fell apart from there on out. But they're back with a bang this time round and hoping to prove that they are still there amongst the biggest nations in the world of international football. And as you said, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves. We're less than 20 minutes into their opening game and they're against a side they should be beating, but they're playing some good football, and that's all we can note so far.
So they are playing good football. Made it hard for Costa Rica to even really implement their own style, which is that counter-attacking way of trying to get forward. They've played a long searching ball over, searching for Anthony Contreras, but it's got all the way through to Unai Simon, and Spain will be back in possession with Jordi Alba on the left-hand side, back to 4. Constantly heads up, the Spain players scanning to see where their teammates are, looking for the right way to push on and create something. And a rare misplaced pass. The ball goes out of play from a poor Gavi pass as he was trying to play it into Cesar Azpilicueta, and it will be a throw-in on the far side for Costa Rica. Brian Oviedo takes it, plays it in towards Joel Campbell, former Arsenal man. Now plying his trade in the Mexican League with Monterrey. Right hand side now though, and they're just struggling to get out when they do have the ball, Costa Rica. But there's a bit of a mistake and a bit of a mix up at the back. Joel Campbell does have it on the right hand side, options ahead of him if he can find them, but really good defending from Laporte, just harries him away, and Joel Campbell's just had to carry the ball about 20 yards back to stop himself from being able to get anywhere with it. But they're still trying, they're still pushing and prying, the Costa Ricans. Joel Campbell with a switched ball over to the left hand side, searching for any man in white, but it's headed away well and brought down by Ferran Torres. He gets taken down. Referee says nothing doing. Costa Rica will continue with the ball, but a miss-hit pass, and Busquets wins it back for Spain. And now it's Spain's chance with the ball. Pedri once again striding forward. Olmo on that left-hand side. Those two have linked up so well so far. Coming forward, but just decided to slow things down and start again. Not enough of an attacking option in the way, and that's a sign of the way this Spain team play. It's not risk-free football because they will have to take risks to score goals, but there was 2 players forward, about 3-4 Costa Rican players back then, and they decided turn around and we'll wait for support, slow things down.
Yeah, exactly, and that's often symptomatic of a team that plays without a striker, isn't it? If you've not got that man who's going to make his runs in behind into the box. It was Olmo and Pedri, I think, wasn't it, who were forward, and neither really wanted to commit to making that run through the middle. They spotted, they got so far, and then thought we'll cut back and we'll build again here, and we'll try and find a breakthrough as a unit. So if you've not got that focal point, sometimes you do have to be a little bit more patient. And the fact they've got a goal already means, like you say, they don't have to overly risk it at this stage of the match. Yes, they'll want a second, probably a third, and maybe even a fourth goal if they can get it. But for now, it's a case of just doing what they know and trying to play through with the philosophy they've been coached under.
They are trying at the moment. It's the ball spread out wide left to Jordi Alba. Plays one into the middle, and there's an option, and it's in the back of the net. It's out of nowhere almost. Alba just fires it in. Asensio was there waiting it. His left foot greets it and curls it into the bottom right-hand corner. Marco Asensio, we said they're not playing with a striker. He's the most recognised forward player that's playing in that central role today, and he scored. Spain 2, Costa Rica 0.
Yeah, and again, it's just too easy, isn't it? We were sort of lulled, much like Costa Rica, I think, into a false sense of security there, not really thinking there was much on. It's a simple ball out to the left-hand side. Jordi Alba has been doing that for years and years, drifting into those high wing-like positions, getting himself into spaces in those wide channels, and his selection of ball is fantastic. You expect him there to whip that in, but no, he spots the run and then disguises the pass, just cuts it back to the edge of the box, little bobble up as it comes to Asensio, but he gets over the top of it and guides it to the far post. Scuffed one earlier, it's not the best of finishes, and Keylor Navas will maybe feel he should do better. He gets 2 hands to it, but it bounces beyond him, and it is now Spain 2, Costa Rica 0.
It is Spain 2, Costa Rica 0. It's just shy of 22 minutes gone in this first half. Group E table is now looking pretty well in the favour of Spain. Germany lost earlier on today. But you would feel that anything can happen in the World Cup. This game's certainly not over, only 22 minutes played, but there is a style of football that can often lead your team into a stranglehold and just play them out of the game. It's the style of football that Spain are playing at the moment as they come forward once again with Gavi. Plays it out to the right-hand side for Ferran Torres. He tries to cross one in, and Brian Oviedo there to just block that ball as it goes out for another Spain corner. He's screaming Oviedo at his teammates, telling them to be more awake, telling them they need to do more. They're just not really in the game at the moment. It's passive. It's just not seeming like they're trying to get in the way of every loose ball. They're trying to push on to everything, and certainly that's how the teams like Saudi Arabia and And Japan have managed to force their shock victories so far in this tournament. By the way, it's a Spain corner on the right-hand side. Dani Olmo in swinging corner. Plenty of players jostling in the box. The referee just has a word with those that were doing it to make sure there's not any fouls. We've seen an increase in penalties and things like that given for grappling in the box. We saw it at the 2018 World Cup as well. It's made a return for this World Cup too, alongside the new increase in added time. So I'm sure this will add plenty of it on. Corner still awaiting to be taken. Finally does come in from Olmo, and after all that wait, he fails to beat the first man. It's cleared away by Joel Campbell. There's chasers on it for Costa Rica, but it's cleared away once again by the Spanish back line, and they'll try come forward on the left-hand side as Gavi tries to get hold of it. He can't manage it, but it's brought in well by Asensio. Asensio just on the left-hand side tries to get a shot off, or maybe even a cross. It was a shot come cross, really just trying to get something into the box, and Oscar Duarte got in the way, and it will be another Spain corner, and a perfect time for me to pass over to, in fact, it won't be a corner, it's going to be a goal kick because it's come off off Asensio from a deflection. But perfect time as we've just ticked past the halfway point in this first half for me to pass you through to Bobby, who'll take you through to half time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Josh. So everything going swimmingly for Spain at the moment. Goals to the good midway through this first half, and the suggestions that Costa Rica may be able to stump what Spain have to offer has yet to come to fruition. Far too comfortable for Luis Enrique's side. Again, they're just moving the ball around really neatly in the midfield. Pedri, who has seen plenty of it and been at the heart of trying to pull the strings, across through Rodri and out to the right-hand side for Torres. Has to ride the challenge of Brian Oviedo and flicks it in field. It doesn't stick this time with Asenio, the goal scorer, second goal scorer after Dani Olmo. Spain have to go back to their defensive third just to recycle. And now it's across to the left with Olmo. Squared up Carlos Martinez and back to Albert. Spain more than happy to play this type of game. They'll move the ball quickly and just drag teams exactly where they want them to be.
Yeah, they certainly will. They just want to look after the ball, and as soon as they spot an opening, they'll just move it quicker and step that gear up. And it's almost perfect for them. The style of football they play is perfect for tournament football. It stops the opposition from scoring. It allows them to have the lion's share of possession, and it allows them to dictate the pace of the game. And if a team comes out at them and says, well, we're going to bring the pace of the game to you, well, if they're not good enough at doing that, they'll just find a way around them because it's going to create spaces. And there's so many high-quality passes of the ball in this Spain team that it's going to be really hard for anybody that comes up against them to get a result. And Costa Rica, although maybe not playing terrifically and you wouldn't expect them to get a result, haven't done enough to even come close to trying to stop the Spanish team so far.
With Spain's opener in the game today, they've now become the sixth nation to score 100 goals at a World Cup, following in the footsteps of Germany, Brazil, Italy, Argentina and France. 101 goals to their name, of course, now, with 2 that they've scored this evening. A time, of course, 26 as we have it, and it's Spain in midfield with Asenio knocking it back off, and now turns around the corner for Gavi, rides the challenge, flicks it through the legs of Calvo, but can't go any further. Costa Rica will stop them this time around. The clearance is dealt with, though, by Aymeric Laporte. Pedri will come across to Albert. All looks so simple for Spain as they exchange a couple of passes in midfield, then pop it in behind the Costa Rican midfield. It's Gavi looking to try and engineer a bit of space for himself, exchanging a couple of quick passes. Cesar Azpilicueta, who, unlike Alba, hasn't really advanced too far down the flanks. It has primarily come down the left for Spain. Azpilicueta maybe doesn't have the legs that Alba still does to cover so much ground. Has been a really good player in doing that over the course of his career, but he's happier to sit back and offer the defensive cover. And if Costa Rica do manage to create a counter-attack, which hasn't emerged yet, then he'll slot in alongside Rodri and Laporte. As Premier League duo look to keep solid at the back. It's Olmo coming forward for Spain into Albert, just short of the byline, flicks it on the defender, then drags it back the other way away from Martinez. Toying with them now are Spain as Busquets, skipper, works it across into Rodri, threaded forwards for Gavi, and out to the right-hand side for Torres, into Asenio, who tried the cute little flick back to Torres, and Spain are forced away, and they're already playing a form of Ole football.
Yeah, certainly are. The individual quality that they have is sort of the cherry on top of the cake, because the way they play as a team, and they're all on the same page. They've all been brought up through the same academies, under the same football. They teach this way of football in Spain, and it just knits together so nicely, and they're being managed so well, and it just looks so fantastic on the ball. And that little moment from Jordi Alba where he nicks it past the defender, drags it back, it just epitomises the way they played, that they're 28 minutes into this game, they're 2-0 up, they're cruising, they can do a bit of skill, but they still manage to hold on to the ball and still look like they're just strangle holding Costa Rica out of this game.
Spain down the left now with Olmo, back to Alba, Asenio just on the edge of the box, Olmo to Pedri, driving to the edge of the box, looking to work the 1-2, all becomes a little bit too tight, but falls back into Alba, who's gone down, and Spain will have the penalty. They're going to have the chance to go 3-0 ahead here. Referee Mohamed Abdullah immediately directing his finger towards the penalty spot. Didn't appear to be any question on that one.
Yeah, it's just clumsy, I think, isn't it? He just clatters into him, and Alba's just got his leg in the way. He's just trying so hard to stay on his feet, Duarte, and get the ball. And I don't think he's tried to foul Alba, because I don't think he needs to foul Alba at this point. There's other men in the box, but he swipes his leg to try and get the ball, and he just connects with the back of Jordi Alba's ankle. And unfortunately, there's not really any other decision the referee can do other than give a penalty. And you'd expect this to be 3-0, barring an impressive save from Keylor Navas.
Yeah, it's going to be Marco Asenio to take it. He got Spain's second today. In fact, rather, it's going to be Ferran Torres, to take it, the number 11. So we'll have all of Spain's front three getting on the score sheet, and that would breathe further confidence for all of them as the competition develops, breaking their duck and getting on the score sheet. Keylor Navas up against Ferran Torres then. Navas has been warned not to step over his line, and well, he's sent the wrong way anyway, and Spain have a third. A cool finish. Ferran Torres, Spain 3, Costa Rica 0.
Yeah, it's a really coolly taken penalty, Ferran Torres. He was taking his deep breaths before it, and as he stepped up to it, he runs up with pace and then just sort of jolts right before it, sends the keeper the wrong way and sticks it in the back of the net. It's a comfortable, cool and calm penalty, and that would probably be the way to describe Spain's performance so far. Comfortable, cool and calm. They've been so impressive, and it's a statement. It's an absolute statement. They can sort of look at this game and scare their opponents, let their opponents know that they mean business, and other people are going to be terrified to play them the way that they've played so far in this game. And they look at Team United, they've been absolutely brilliant.
The first different scorer for Spain at the World Cup, excluding own goals, Marco Asenio, that brought up the half century when he scored Spain's second earlier on, but it's now 51 for Spain. Different goal scorers at World Cup competition, a side that don't have a recognisable, I should say, striker on the field today. That doesn't seem to matter. A nation that really brought us the false nine years ago, and they've mastered the art of it, as they're displaying once again today. Players that are capable of dropping into all sorts of different positions, and we've seen Torres and Olmo come centrally. Primarily it is Asenio this evening, but all three of them now on the score sheet, and Spain coasting towards what is going to be a pretty emphatic victory if they continue playing at this rate. They've just maybe played a loose ball at the back, and it's gone out for a throw on the far side. First sort of defensive error that they've conceded in this game, not been tested too regularly, and that's where maybe you start to see them have to answer some questions as the competition goes on. All well and good doing this against Costa Rica. We will get a better idea of what to make of Spain when they take on Japan, when they take on Germany. And there are a few defensive moments in the game for them. They've got a free kick that they're going to have to deal with now, as Joel Campbell has been brought down by Dani Olmo. So we'll see how they square up for this one.
Yeah, you've got to see how they can deal with set pieces, how they can deal with a team getting at them. You're absolutely right. You can say this is a statement, and I've said it already, but they're not facing a team that's gone at them. They're not facing a team that's going to cause them many problems, and they have to be able to deal with these situations as the tournament goes on, and as you say, when they face the likes of Japan and Germany.
They delivered from the right-hand side and over the top of it. Celso Borges, be an outswinger from the midfielder. Great delivery, although the clearance is pretty poor. Joel Campbell will keep it alive. Can't make any further advancement. He's actually deemed to be offside anyway. So that will come to an end for Costa Rica. And they need to make better. I mean, that is absolutely terrible from Joel Campbell. He walked about 2 or 3 yards off. Never looked interested in getting back. I mean, he doesn't know what's going on behind him, does he? He's clearly assuming that everyone's just starting to take those baby steps, but no one had followed him.
No one had followed him. He wasn't aware to the situation, and it's a strange one. He's been such an important figure for Costa Rica over their time across different tournaments, and it just speaks to someone who's just not aware of their surroundings and not in the game. And I think you probably understand if these Costa Rican players are a bit disheartened. You know, get yourself psyched up, ready to go for the first game of a World Cup, and within half an hour you're 3-0 down, and maybe they've just lost their heads a little bit. They're going to need a shake, I think, at half time to basically explain that despite this game being over, the competition's not over, is it? You know, the likes of Germany have still dropped points, and you know, it could all come down to goal difference, couldn't it? So they've got to just try their best to keep their heads and not make silly mistakes like that when they do get the opportunity to create something.
It's going to be a big half-time team talk from Costa Rica boss Luis Fernando Suarez as Spain come forward here, and they're going to win a corner in the end. It's some good defending from Carlos Martinez to stop Dani Olmo. In fact, the flag has gone up, so counted anyway. He'd received the ball in an offside position.
Yeah, he just starts his run a little bit too early, but we're just talking inches there. I think he probably is just about offside. He does really well to get down the line, but he's causing all sorts of problems. And no matter whether he's on that left or that right side, Dani Olmo, he's always looking to get in behind, and he's making these Costa Rican defenders have to think.
Here they come forwards, not really able to make much of the situation. Eventually comes off the right foot of Anthony Contreras for a Spain throw. That's the issue Costa Rica have got, even when they have had those brief moments with the ball, just a lack of quality, almost a pressure of feeling that you have to do something with it, because you know those moments have come so sparingly in the game. It's part of the issue in playing against Spain. They strangle the life out of it with the way they pass the ball and really limit the opportunities you're going to have any possession. That really does make it all the more meaningful when you do get a touch of it, as here Costa Rica do have that, but again it's just a mere 2 touches before Spain have it again. Now it's out for a Spanish throw just over the midway point of their own half. Keisha Fuller to keep it in play, the man who plays his football domestically with Herediano. Spain going forward down the left-hand side now with Alba to take this throw. Back into defensive area, and the 2 centre-backs haven't been tested at all. Rodri and Laporte exchange passes. That one's got far too much on it from Pedri, who apologises, and understandably so to Olmo. Time for Costa Rica throw, 36 minutes gone. It'll be Martinez to get us back away from just level with the edge of his own box. Guides it down the line. Plenty of distance on it, hoping that Contreras can make it stick. We'll look it back into play, and it's down from the night sky, and is back in the possession of Costa Rica, now on the left flank and carried forward by Juiz and Benet. Chops back and away from a challenge, but into another in the process, and going to get a free kick there. Doesn't really appeal for anything as he clashed with Torres. He's now running into trouble and has lost the ball. It's one back by Calvo. Good work by the centre-back, stepping forward. But an extra body in that wide area. Costa Rica here now, on the halfway line, carried out of defence and worked across to the right-hand side with Fuller. It's the inside channel. Busquets is trying to win it back there off Borges, but not managed to do so. And best passage of play this, I think, we've seen from Costa Rica as they work it across to the left. Oviedo, top back, maybe a chance to cross from deep. No, they're going to drive it on further down that side by Benet. Does get the delivery in, back to goal here. Can't quite get the shot away, Contreras, and has to come away, but still gets alive. Now runners arriving, and it's headed out by Laporte. chested back down out to the right-hand side by Costa Rica. It will be kept in play rather well there by Costa Rica and into the possession of Campbell, who swings it deep to the left-hand side. Cross comes in, headed away by Rodri. Spain having to stand firm here and try and hold up against what Costa Rica are offering. And they're doing pretty well as Pedri is going to, Gavi rather, is going to win the free kick. And that will just release the pressure that was growing.
Yeah, there was just a small bit of pressure growing for Costa Rica. They were putting balls in the box. They were creating a bit. They were winning a few of the first balls. But when it came out to Gavi, he did so well. He's so young, but so talented, and just twists and turns on the ball, waits for support. And then in the end, nothing came because he managed to hold on to it for so long. He was forced into, well, Costa Rica were forced into fouling him to stop him. He wins the free kick and he cancels out all the pressure that Costa Rica were building. So there's just this innate skill inside these Spanish players that they're just so calm on the ball, and it's so difficult to play against them, especially for a team like Costa Rica who aren't really going to go at them.
Noting that within this Costa Rica squad, the 26-man squad, there are only 9 players who don't play in their homeland. Navas, the only one really who plays in any of Europe's top 5 domestic leagues with Paris Saint-Germain. Is one of the reasons why they're finding it hard to match up to a team overloaded with players that play at such a high level week in, week out. And high demands placed on their shoulders on a regular basis. Busquets now forward, one of those into Azpilicueta. Brings forward on the rare occasion, finds Torres, cycle it back through Gavi and Busquets, back to Gavi again, dropped off to Rodri. Busquets always pointing and orchestrating things in that midfield. Sure that it's all ticking over for Spain. They can't afford to show any complacency. They are 3-0 up, but I'll know that it's a case of trying to make sure that they're professional throughout as they want to build that winning mentality in the competition. Low ball in the box now evades everyone of the Spanish persuasion. They will retrieve it through Alba on the left-hand side. It's Busquets back out to the right with Azpilicueta to Asenio, dropping off the forward line. Now makes his running behind. Goes forward towards Torres, chested down. Almost can't make much of it. Costa Rica attempt to come out with Joel Campbell. Working in field to Tejeda. Back out to the right, where there is a bit of space here for Fuller to charge into. Backtracking is Pedri. Out of position at the moment was Alba. Pedri's done enough there to slow the move. Back through Borges and into Campbell. 2 up ahead of him to his left, but he can't find a way through to them. Has to drop it off to Borges, and starting to see a little bit more from Costa Rica, and I'm not sure whether that's because they believe now they just have to start being a bit braver, or whether it's Spain 3-0 up, happy to sit off a bit.
It's probably a little bit of both, isn't it? It's both sides sort of realising that the game state of the match. I think Costa Rica needs to do something, because you can't just sit back. If you sit back against a team like this and sort of give up on it, it could become 6, 7, 8, 9-0. You can sit back and try and defend and try and just sort of put your body in front of the ball every time you can. But when it's 3-0, there's no point in doing that because you're not going to create chances. So I think they're trying to go at it. And like you say, Spain 3-0 up. They're comfortable with the way this half's gone. Maybe a bit of complacency is beginning to creep in. And I'm sure both managers will have a word with their sides at the ever-approaching half-time whistle and sort of explain how they want the second half to go, because I think we might see a very different second half to what we've seen so far.
A lot of focus on how much time has been added on at the end of each half in a lot of the games so far at the World Cup, a direction from FIFA as to what they want from referees to make sure that the games are being played as close to their length as possible. But I don't think we'll get much at the end of this first half. It's flowed pretty well. There's certainly been no injury issues. 3 goals, of course, to take into consideration, though, so that's primarily where any additional time will emerge from. As Torres and Asenio exchange passes. Asenio now opens it up to the left, but there's a little bit more room onto the chest of Alba. Time on the ball, rolls it through to Pedri. Olmo looking to work the 1-2, return ball for Asenio, just wasn't quite up to scratch, and Spain will have to start again. Busquets finding Asenio. He's going to hit from range, charged down by Borges. Committed defending from the man who posts 156 caps now for his country, the most capped player within this Costa Rica squad. All his experience today to try and the damage that they're sustaining as this match continues to unfold. 3-0 down, it's a lost cause in trying to salvage anything, but come down to goal difference potentially in terms of trying to get through in that second spot. Who knows how the remainder of the game may well play out as this competition develops. Rica very much the outsiders in this group, though. You would have given them a chance of challenging for second spot, although I suppose that would have been the case when they reached the quarterfinals back in 2014, Uruguay, Italy and England, and somehow Costa Rica finished top.
Yes, certainly did. It was an impressive run, wasn't it? They finished top. They only dropped points to England, and it was a 0-0 draw. They managed to then push on and get through to the quarterfinals. And sometimes you get a crop like that in the World Cup, and it's something that they will be trying to replicate, but certainly not the start that they would have liked to have seen. But you can never underestimate any team, and I think we've seen that already from Saudi Arabia and Japan in this World Cup. We're just a matter of days into it, and we've already seen those giant killings. And I think the football between the continents has started to, the gap has started to shrink, and I think we're seeing that there's more quality footballers all over the place playing in Europe's top leagues. And maybe this Costa Rica side doesn't fall under that bracket this World Cup. Certainly can never write anybody off.
Test just well play like Rodri. Pedri, always someone open and available, willing to accept a pass for Spanish. Pedri this time finds Albert. Inside channel, he had Asenio. Field though instead, Olmo leaves it. Goes to Busquets, he gets it back on Gavi and Pedri. A little bit of a loose touch, but still time to readjust. Albert feels that he was coming back from offside, and that appears to be the case as the Greece assistant on the far side raises his arm, made the initial run, and was expecting the ball to come as he bent back to try and get himself into position. We are into the final 15 seconds or so of this opening 45. We'll discover how long we are to have added on. It's third of 4 games on Wednesday. First round of group matches continue to play out. We're fast approaching the end of that first flurry of games as we now go over the 45-minute mark. It's Gavi looking to bend one in behind. It's just turning away from Ferran Torres. Favours Keylor Navas. Now there's pace and rolls into his box. We are going to have 5 minutes of additional time. As I said, the game has barely stopped. We've not seen any bookings. Medical team haven't come on. We have had 3 goals scored and a penalty conceded for one of them, taken into account celebrations. I mean, 5 minutes still seems a little bit over the top for me.
Yeah, I can't see where we've had 5 minutes from in this game, and I'm pretty sure both teams would be comfortable with this game stopping at half-time now and going into the second half. I just wonder whether it's almost a scaremongering tactic from FIFA, the way they're doing this added time, in a way of they've had conversations for a long time, especially since Arsene Wenger has come into his senior role in FIFA, about trying to change the amount of minutes that are played in a football match and change it to a clock that stops every time the ball goes out, that stops when a goal goes in, and play shorter halves. And whether they're just trying to do this to try and show, well, this is what it's like. We're going to be playing loads of minutes if we don't do that, and maybe that's the case. But it just 5 minutes of added time in this first half seems ridiculous.
I agree with that one. We are a minute and a half into the 5 now. At least we've managed to get through some of it as Costa Rica attempt to break down the left. Just overrun a bit. Rodri will come across and lay it back to his goalkeeper. Simon, who has had nothing to do in this game. Certainly no saves to get himself busy. The touches with his feet, but it has been a relatively comfortable night for the Spanish goalkeeper. De Gea in the squad for Spain. A few eyebrows raised at that decision by Luis Enrique to go with Robert Sanchez, White and David Raya at Brentford. And Simon, though, the starter, Bauman, more experienced than that other duo. This is 28th cap for Spain tonight, with Raya and Sanchez. 2 appearances for Spain previously. Enrique was that De Gea didn't really fit into his style of play, so see how that develops over the competition. Certainly would have been fine tonight, I'm sure, as Spain just overplay it a little bit here, and Costa Rica put it out for a throw. To take, and 2.5 minutes of the additional 5 scheduled at the end of this first period. Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. We bring you independent opportunity to commentary. All of Spain's front 3 getting on the score sheet. Dani Olmo getting the opener. Senyo spurned an early chance, first chance of the game, got Spain second, and it was Ferran Torres then from the penalty spot, turning home after Jordi Alba had been brought down in the box. There with the choice of Ferran Torres rather coolly slotting home. A very solid performance from Spain so far. First group match of this World Cup. Alba infield now to Pedri. Back to Laporte. 5 on the ball. Costa Rica pressing. Eventually, Joel Campbell makes a few strides towards him and forces Spain to be a little bit more adventurous and into opposition territory. Referee, I think, was not like twice there, and Spain are trying to appeal that it got in the way. It seems as though they are going to get the free kick somewhat belatedly from Mohamed Abdullah, who just couldn't keep up with Spain's passing there.
Not many teams that can keep up with Spain's quick passing at the moment, and Costa Rica have been a victim of that so far in this first half. There's definitely going to be heads in that Costa Rica dressing room that will drop because of the way that this game's gone. But I think you mentioned it earlier, it is Costa Rica. They probably felt as though they were going to be the team that struggled the most in this group, and it's no surprise.
And they come again, Spain trying to get it forward, but Senyo hard directed on target. Looked as though he had the opening there once it was rolled through from Pedri. Little reverse ball. He took 2 or 3 touches as Senyo, and by that time the defender had got back and across, and Oscar Duarte, experienced centre back, doing enough to put him on.
They've done really well to get across there. They just cut them open again. Every time Pedri gets the balls in those central areas, there's always men running off him. Asensio gets in a great position to just take that ball on, but he takes it slightly too wide, and then really good defending, as you say, to get across and put him off.
The final seconds of these 5 additional was back in the hands of Spain goalkeeper Unai Simon as Costa Rica launched it forward. Stick. The referee with the last look at his watch. He blows his whistle. A comfortable half for Spain, and the break is Spain 3, Costa Rica 0.
Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was a first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was a first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was a first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica, and it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Spain really taking advantage of the fact that Germany dropped points earlier on. It was the first goal from Dani Olmo on the 11th minute. Just 10 minutes later, Marco Asensio doubled the lead, and then a Ferran Torres penalty tripled the lead just 10 minutes after that. So it's 3-0 to Spain. They sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture. they sit pretty comfortably in this game, and things will have to change for Costa Rica in the second half. Well, half-time in this Group E fixture between Spain and Costa Rica. Passing, quick movement, and just tiring out Costa Rica. They really had no chance. There's going to have to be a lot changed if Costa Rica want a chance to get into this game. It would be an absolute miracle if they did manage to get a result from this game. I'm joined by Bobby Jackson. Bobby, what can happen in the second half, and what do you expect to happen in the second half?
I expect Spain to continue to dominate possession. There's nothing really, I believe, that Costa Rica can do to prevent that being the case. Maybe try and press a little bit higher up the field and force them to think a little bit more about what they're doing. But I can't see this game turning around. There's been no suggestions that that's going to be the case. It's about really for Costa Rica to come through this without losing too heavily. They don't want to be going into their next two games off the back of a 5-6-0 loss and heads dropped and feeling, well, we're out of this competition already, because who knows what can happen in the following two games. You can never predict in a World Cup. For Spain, it's about trying to get through this now without picking up any unnecessary injuries. I wouldn't be surprised to see Luis Enrique start to make changes early in the second half. I'm a little bit surprised he's not made one already, just starting to shuffle things about, get others out there, just get a few minutes under their belts and try to assess as the competition goes what your best 11 is, what your best combinations will be. No doubt he'll want to freshen up that forward line and some of his older players like Azpilicueta, Alba, Busquets, maybe get them off and allow the youngsters just to see it through when they've got a bit more running in their legs.
Probably right. I think we probably will see a few changes. Maybe bring on Alvaro Morata and see whether they can play with the number 9, with someone up top that's going to be part of that. But just try and favour the tactics that he's gone for thus far. It's been such an impressive performance from Spain, and it's the performance of a team that have got confidence and belief in themselves and the way they play. And it's Azpilicueta darting down the right-hand side, trying to add to the tally. Lays it off to Marco Asensio, and it goes over the top of the goal. It's gone out for a goal kick. He was claiming that there may have been a touch on it from Keylor Navas, putting it out for a corner, but it hasn't. It's gone well over, and there's certainly no deflection. I think he's just slipped as he's hit it.
Yeah, I think it is. As this game goes on as well, there's only going to be more space for Spain. Costa Rica are going to tire. They're not going to be as defensive-minded as they were in the first 10-15 minutes when still they couldn't really contain Spain. They'll want to try and get a consolation if they can. They'll want to get on the front foot and see if they can, as I said earlier, press a little bit higher up the pitch. I think they probably came into it far too negative. It's difficult to get that balance right at times when the game is as mismatched as this. But that should give Spain more opportunity as a centre fan there to have a bit of room on the edge of the box.
Yeah, Joel Campbell trying to start things now for Costa Rica, though. Plays it to Brian Oviedo. He's managed to find a pass into the box looking for Benete, but he couldn't get a shot away, and it's going to be a Spain ball once again as Busquets twists and turns, manages to find Asensio. He's got options right and left. Left is Olmo, right he's got Ferran Torres, but he had Pedri in support too. He finds Pedri. He finally gets it over to Olmo. Olmo inside the box on the left-hand side. Squares up against 1 and 2. He just loses control of the ball. Tries to knock it past Keisha Fuller, and in the end just goes straight into the hands of goalkeeper and captain Keylor Navas.
Yeah, trying to work his way in behind there and maybe create the opening for himself beyond Fuller. Might work out for him, but he looked really bright in the first half. Olmo, he's had his critics over the years, I think, some questioning whether he was ever going to fulfil the expectations that have been placed on him as a youngster, but he's starting to show, certainly today in the Spain side, that he can offer a lot in that forward line, making some really good runs from wide areas centrally and trying to carry the ball himself. But they've just looked really good, haven't they, as a front three, I think, today. Good balance there between that trio.
Certainly have looked good. Just to confirm, there was a change at half-time. Costa Rica have obviously looked and thought there might have to be a different approach. It's actually Carlos Martinez that has gone off the pitch, and he has been replaced by Kendall Watson. So Kendall Watson comes on for Carlos Martinez, and Costa Rica's attempt at trying to change things up. I'm not sure whether that's an injury. It didn't look as if Martinez was carrying an injury. In fact, he was probably one of their more impressive defensive players at times during that first half. So you'd imagine it was either that or it really wants to change the tactics, the manager. So
yeah,
at the moment,
they're players, at different ends of their careers as well. Watson, a 34-year-old, coming on to replace a 23-year-old, 64 caps now for Watson, coming on today to the 8 caps of Martinez. So it's the changing of the guard in that position that Costa Rica will be hoping to see over the next few years. Maybe it was just a case that inexperience today was proving a little bit costly. We highlighted in the first half that majority of Spain's attacks would come down that left through Alba rather than Azpilicueta out on the right-hand side. So it's definitely, I think, something to try and counteract that and keep them quiet.
Certainly makes sense at that point. It still remains Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. And Spain are coming forward now. Ball at the feet of Gavi. Plays it to the right-hand side where Ferran Torres can play a shot cross in, and he's played it low and deep in towards the area, and it's cleared away well by Keisha Fuller. He puts it out. I think it might have gone out for a throw-in. It has on the near side as our pictures see it. Independent off-tube studio commentary. It's going to be Cesar Azpilicueta to take the throw-in. The Chelsea defender. Red shirts buzzing around off the ball, trying to make themselves an option for him. There's not too much movement in those Costa Rican shirts. And through all that, he waits to take the throw in and then throws it straight to a Costa Rican man. It's really, really cheap corner given away there. Was Brian Oviedo was trying to beat Pedri in a dangerous area, and he just run the ball straight out of play.
Yeah, I was just looking at how Costa Rica are lining up at the back now following that change as well. It looks as though Watson's gone as one of the 3 central defenders, and Fuller's just pushed it out wide to that right-hand side. So a slight shuffle, just Fuller moving one to his right-hand side. But yeah, Watson playing as part of that back 3. He's a big unit, isn't he?
Corner taken short. Olmo with the ball, plays it out to Asensio. He's just trying to find one round the corner, back to Olmo. He has to. Olmo plays it across the face of goal, and it's just managed to be cleared away. And they're going to try and break now Costa Rica, and it is Fuller on the ball. Fuller just trying to make his way forward. Campbell just didn't seem to move off it. Azpilicueta nicks in front of both of them and comes away with the ball. Spain will try and go again. It's once more Marco Asensio. Just plays it back towards Jordi Alba. Now back with Rodri in that unfamiliar centre-back role. It's become one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, really, Rodri. He's been so impressive in the Premier League over the last couple of seasons. And playing him as a centre-back is, I'm sure many people will think that that's an interesting decision, but I'm sure the manager knows exactly what he's doing, and because of the amount of the ball that they know they're going to be able to have, that he can step up into that midfield, he can play the passes, and basically becomes part of that midfield. They play such a high line, Spain, when they're playing like this as well, because they can pin in teams into their own half. This is teammate Afrik Laporte on the ball at the moment. One's being made off it from Busquets, but it goes to Rodri. Rodri fires it into the feet of Pedri. Now on the left-hand side with Dani Olmo. I'm very impressed with the way he's moved when he gets the ball up to his feet. Now with Gavi. Gavi just shoved off the ball by Calvo. It's nothing done. Now on the right-hand side, it's going to be Gavi again. Just manages to pull one back. He's done really well to find Ferran Torres. Torres just couldn't quite get the ball out of his control, but he's still got it. He's managed to put it in the back of the net. Well, it's almost as if the entire Costa Rican defence fell asleep, but Ferran Torres certainly didn't. He twisted, he turned, he waited for the opportunity. Keylor Navas once again in no man's land, and he just tucks it underneath the goalkeeper and into the back of the net.
Yeah, his angles were all wrong in the end. Keylor Navas just couldn't get down to his right-hand side to stop that one squeezing through and beyond him. Spain getting their fourth within the first 10 minutes of this second half. You feel that there's at least another couple more in this for them today. Torres' second first he's got from open play today, scored the penalty in the first half. Starts out on that right-hand side, haven't ventured forward down that flank too often. A little shot back. Torres initially couldn't find his way around the defender Calvo, but then they're just slow to react to the loose ball. It's Brian Oviedo, who was nudged off it by Torres, back to goal, and he just turns, probably has a firm idea of where the target is, and just opens his body up, power on it, keeps it low. Big smile on the face of Luis Enrique, and it's clear to see why.
Yeah, Luis Enrique pleased, and Ferran Torres pleased. He joins Taremi, Giroud, Valencia, and Bukayo Saka as the names who have managed to get 2 goals so far in this year's World Cup. 3 of those 5 have done it with a penalty, the same way Ferran Torres has. Only Olivier Giroud and Bukayo Saka who have got 2 goals from open play so far in the World Cup. Ball out on the right-hand side as Spain just start things off. And as I was saying, I thought we might get a bit of a viewing of Alvaro Morata to try and see if they can play with that centre forward. It looks like he's getting ready to come on the pitch for the Spanish. Rodri at the back with the ball at the moment. It's such a slow tempo to the game at times when Spain have it. They know that Costa Rica aren't going to push on to them as they just lose the ball in midfield, but supposedly illegally, as Celso Borges has just pulled back onto Busquets. Now on the left-hand side, Dani Olmo is going to start things for Spain. He's just going to run at Fuller. He does really well to beat him. Beats 2, but can't beat the third. This is a cross comes in towards the box anyway as they won it back, and Ferran Torres was waiting at the back post, but so was Brian Oviedo. He heads it out. There's almost a chance for a World Cup hat-trick.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a way to mark the game, wouldn't it, to grab a third goal, but it's going to be at the end of the evening for Ferran Torres instead.
It's going to be the end of the evening for Ferran Torres. He's the one that makes way for Alvaro Morata. You'd imagine then you'd probably see Marco Asensio pop out to one of the wings, maybe that right wing, and try and cut in on his left foot, and then you'll see him come, Morata play in front. But it looks like Pedri may be making way as well, and it's going to be Carlos Soler that comes on for Pedri. That one certainly feels like a decision by Enrique to look after a player that's going to be so vital to this Spain team, make sure he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, definitely, and no surprises there. 2 solid changes. There's a decent bench that he's got available to him. Luis Enrique is all whipped in here. Navas will punch away, not fully dealt with as Spain will look to come again. And on the left-hand side, it goes to cross, and it's put behind for the corner kick. But yeah, freshen things up. We expected it wouldn't take too long into this second half. The double switch from Spain.
Yeah, double switch from Spain. Good cleared header away in the end by Watson. He managed to just knock it out of play. They've got to be careful of these set pieces. They don't want to make this become, I suppose they don't want to make this become an embarrassment, Costa Rica, but it's moving in that direction already with the score at 4-0. So corner kick to Spain. The right-hand side. Almost over it. He's got Soler next to him. In fact, no, it's Asensio next to him. He's got Asensio, then plays it back towards Soler. Now back into the feet of Olmo. Asensio now is occupying that space on the right-hand side, but stood too close to the touchline, miscontrolled and pass into it, but it's gone out for a Costa Rica throw-in. Costa Rica throw-in on the left-hand side for them. Joel Campbell just knocks it off to Brian Oviedo, who couldn't quite keep it in play. He thinks he was fouled by Cesar Azpilicueta. Doesn't look like it's going to be given. It looks like there could be a change in the offing for Costa Rica as well. We'll let you know when that one is confirmed. It could be Zamora, Alvaro Zamora, who's getting ready. He's one of those that plays inside Costa Rica domestically. Spain just trying to see this game off comfortably now as we tick towards the hour mark. It's Spain 4, Costa Rica 0. They'll really sit quite high on top of that table now. Spain, despite Japan managing to beat Germany, the goal difference will be so important for Spain, and all eyes will be on the time when the Spanish take on the Germans. All cleared away now by Unai Simon. So very rare piece of action for the Spanish goalkeeper today. Headed away. It's out for a throw-in for Spain on the far side. It's going to be Jordi Alba to take it. Just going to comfortably see this game out now. I mean, that's a foul throw. I'm not sure why that's not being pulled up, but he's almost thrown that into the ground, Jordi Alba. But at this point, it doesn't really matter, does it? Jordi Alba plays it across to Busquets. But yeah, they just look so comfortable, so confident. But we spoke about it earlier, and I think it's worth trying to understand as I'll just break off, because Alvaro Morata's managed to find his way in. The shouts that maybe the offside flag should have gone up, but it's not gone up yet. Morata just trying to get a shot off on his right foot. He's constantly trying, and then a back heel from Olmo across to try and find Soler in the middle. He couldn't manage to get on the end of it. He really did well to keep that alive, Olmo. I'm not quite sure what Morata was doing. He had so much time, and he just sort of waited and waited and waited, and then really didn't do much with it. But just one pass, and they've cut straight through.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's part of the reason why Luis Enrique at the moment isn't favouring Alvaro Morata. He's a little bit slower in terms of trying to develop a move, trying to keep things going. The versatility of Asensio, Olmo, and Torres, the trio that started, they've got the pace to beat a player, and then they'll look to whip it in. They'll look to find that next pass. Morata's very much that striker, that centre forward that will look to take it on himself, I think, rather than bring others into the play. There's the unselfishness of the trio that tend to play out wide and are always looking for that next pass. And that's in their mentality. So it's a different way to play, and there may be